Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Sharon, part of the team here at Xello. I'm happy to see you all for this remote roundtable. This is the spot to be to hear how your peers are tackling challenges and supporting students in their future planning. So today we are talking all about juniors and how to get this group of kids ready for their senior year of high school. At this point in the term, the immediate needs of seniors can frankly easily overtake everything else, but this is also a critical time to get juniors thinking about their lives after high school. So today we brought together two panelists who are true experts when it comes to getting their students ready. They're going to share their strategies for helping their juniors take charge of their future planning and key activities they do to engage their students. You will also get to hear their best practices for balancing the needs of both juniors and seniors. We also are joined by one of our training specialists today, Julia. Julia is going to be talking to everyone about Xello's resume builder and some other tools to engage juniors. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the format for today's roundtable as everyone is joining us. So this webinar is live. It is also being recorded. We're going to pose questions to our expert panelists with dedicated time to answer audience questions as well at the end. Feel free to ask any question that is burning in your mind. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a Q&A button. Feel free to pop your questions into the Q&A. We have our Xello team monitoring your questions, and we'll be posing those to our panelists. Again, this is being recorded, and we will send you the recording by email tomorrow. Before we dive in to introduce our panelists, I'll also just take a minute and tell you a little bit more about us here at Xello. So our company was started in 1997, and we've been helping districts all across North America ever since. We help all students become college, career, and future ready. We truly come from humble beginnings, though. Our company started out with only 3 people, and now we've grown to an organization of over 150. And our mission in life is really to support you, your students, your communities from coast to coast. We literally work with thousands of districts and millions of students. And one thing that's really important to us here at Xello is, regardless of background, ability, or pathway, that we help you support your students to build personalized plans that can really help them reach their full academic potential and help them achieve future success. So that's what we're all about here at Xello, and we're so happy to have you with us today. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our lovely panelists. First, we have Katie Seort. She is the Assistant Director for Career and Technical Education at Vancouver School District in Washington. And I'm going to turn it over to her because I'm sure she can do a much better job of introducing herself than I could. Katie, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you here. I am representing Vancouver Public Schools. We are in the great state of Washington, and we are the other Vancouver. We're not Vancouver, Canada. We're Vancouver, Washington. And we're in Southwest Washington. We have a district of about 12,000 6th through 12th grade students. So our secondary population that are connected to career and college readiness is about 12,000 students. And my role as the Assistant Director of CTE and also College and Career Readiness is really to support our CTE programs in the district, as well as the career guidance that happens in our district. So we're going to talk about that today, some of the things that we do in support of our students. And do you want to talk about the Career and College Ready program, or is that enough just for the introduction of myself?
That is perfect, Katie. Thank you so much. And also with us today, we have Teal Perez. Teal is the lead counselor in Frisco Independent School District in Texas. Teal, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, I am Teal Perez. I have been the lead counselor here at Reedy High School for the past 3 years. Frisco is a large school district about 45 minutes north of Dallas. We have about 65,000 students in 12 high schools, 17 middle schools, and 40 something elementaries. So a rather large district here. And we run most all of our stuff through this counseling office.
Teal and Katie, we are so lucky to have you with us today. Thank you so much. Again, we are also joined by Julia, one of our training specialists here at Xello. And Julia is going to be talking to us a little later about Xello's resume builder and sharing some other tips to really engage juniors. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into question one. So Katie, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about your CCR program.
Okay, like I said, I'm in Washington State, and we do have a state mandate for a high school and beyond plan for all students that begins in the 8th grade. And so we have worked to develop that structure for our students here in Vancouver. And we use Xello as our major backbone for that state mandate. We've identified lessons within the Xello programming for students 6th grade through 12th grade. And that is district-wide. So we've created a structure for all of our students in the district. So we have a consistent college and career readiness program where all students do the same thing as they're moving 6th grade through 12th grade. And as they complete 12th grade, they complete their high school and beyond plan, which is that graduation requirement in Washington. Some of the things that we're working on in addition to our checklist and requirements, we're really working to develop specific outcomes around career and college readiness. I think it's been a challenge to define career readiness. It's a lot easier to define college readiness. So as we're implementing a career and college readiness program, we're just trying to grapple with, defining what are the outcomes that we want all students to be able to do as a result of our program. So that's something that we're doing now, is developing the outcomes and then trying to develop a dashboard that's going to show us all of our students and where they are in that journey of college and career readiness.
Katie, it sounds like you have some great things going on. Quick follow-up question. How long has your program been running?
We have been, as far as I've been in my position for 19 years. Okay. And so we have used Xello for the last 4 years to support our career and college readiness. And prior to that, career cruising for 15 years. So in my whole tenure as a leadership position with career and college readiness, we have been working with career cruising and Xello to support our programming. And we've always had that state mandate. So while it's a requirement that every student has a high school and beyond plan, each district can determine what that looks like, what lessons or what activities or what systems or structures you're going to put in place with your district. So we have some flexibility within that state mandate.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you guys have a really strong track record of focusing on this and making sure students are ready for life after high school. I love that. Teal, over to you. Same question. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your CCR program where you are.
Okay, so we are pretty similar. So Texas does have some mandates for like CCMR requirements, so college, career and military readiness. We start meeting with our students as incoming 8th graders. They start to develop a 4-year plan, and they choose something called an endorsement. So it's one of 5 different pathways that kind of can be used as a guide for what you want to be when you grow up. Like you can go under arts and humanities, you can do business and industry, STEM. So there's different pathways that you can choose from that could potentially, not always, kind of guide what your plans are. So we know that kids will do all different things. So 4-year, 2-year trade school, straight off to work, maybe need a certification. And so through that 4-year planning, we kind of build each year on what the student needs to know in order to graduate here and be prepared for whatever they're going to do post-secondary. So we do try to make sure that they all have some sort of CCMR indicator. So whether that be a certificate, whether that be their SAT, ACT scores, PSAT, things like that, we make sure that what they're doing prepares them for their plans post-secondary. So we do all of this through our guidance lessons, through the use of Xello, through the use of our other platform to do their 4-year plans. And Xello has been running in Frisco, I believe, the last 3 to 4 years exclusively. And then again, like Katie, I've used some sort of platform for this in different districts over the last 10 years.
Teal, thank you so much. It sounds like both of you guys have really strong programs, and that's great to hear. We're going to dive a little bit more into the details with question 2. So Katie, I'll start with you. What are the key elements and engagement activities that you're focused on right now?
All of our juniors complete goals and plans where they identify specifically right now what their plan is for after high school. We want to know, similar to what Teal was saying, we want to know, are you planning for a 4-year university directly out of high school? Are you planning for a 2-year transfer, technical college, community college, military, or employment? So we have them identify what their current plan is as of right now as a junior, so that we can best support them like right out of the gate next year as a senior. This year, all of our juniors are completing some of the Xello lessons, and one of them is choosing a college. And that lesson requires them to save 3 schools. So it's a really big focus for our juniors to be looking at different schools, saving them into their plan, and so that they're ready to go next year when they start applying to the school and tracking their applications. We also have all of our juniors do the job interview lesson, and they also do the resume. So in connection to what we're going to talk about today, we do have all of our juniors work in their junior English resume for their high school and beyond plan. And some of the things that we have focused on as far as events this year, we finally, after 2 years off, have been able to do our college and career fairs. And so we're bringing in post-secondary representatives to connect with our students, 9 through 12, but really the juniors are focusing on what the various options are. I think it's critical for juniors to become aware of all the options, because they're getting closer to the time where they really do need to decide. If they're going to apply to a 4-year university, these are my next steps. If I'm going to consider the military, these are my next steps. And I need to take the ASVAB test, or I need to take the SAT, or plan for, college visits. So I think one of our career specialists says it best, that juniors are really still shopping right now. It's a critical year to shop and be fully aware of all the options so that they know which one might be their best fit at this moment in time. And we know that students change their mind on a regular basis, but just making sure that in front of them, they always have awareness of different options.
Katie, I really like the metaphor that you used about shopping. I think that's so true. Having them save colleges that they're interested, doing the career fair, right? These are all ways that they can get exposed and go shopping, as you say, to help them narrow down their choices as the year progresses. So Teal, it's going to be the same question for you. What future readiness engagement activities are you focused on right now, or what are some key elements that you can talk to us about?
Yes. Okay. So the biggest thing we do for juniors in the second semester here is something called Jumpstart Juniors. And so this is where we go in and do guidance for all of the juniors here and bring in like college admissions reps to talk to them as well. And so in this meeting, we kind of focus on the catch up and cleanup of what we have been training them to do. So if I back up a little bit, all of our students get guidance each year, as specifically for their courses, graduation, the college and career. They get guidance every year. So they have something that they're supposed to be doing. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't, they're kids. And so what we do for Jumpstart Juniors is to kind of clean that up. We give them like, this is where you should be right now. And if you're not, like, here's what we need to do moving forward for you to be ready to go in September of your senior year. So it's kind of the catch up. So in this, we ask them to start or update their resume so that they have those things in place. We have an optional 100 hours of community service that students can do, to work towards that holistic student, like well-rounded student. And so we remind them of those things in building their resume, logging their community service. We look at, like Katie said, starting to really narrow down your choices. So we want our kids to have between 5 and 7 schools that they are truly interested in. So a couple of reach, a couple of guarantees. So just the whole range there, because we'll get kids that think they have to apply to 37 places or nowhere. So somewhere in that in between. So we use the Xello college search feature for them to save their matches, save what they want to go through. From there, we also really ask that students start working on their essays. So in Texas, we have the Applied Texas application that they can use. And then we also have Common App, obviously, and then the schools. And so they have essays that they'll have to write. And so we'll use that Knowledge Hub piece of Xello for the tips on like how to start writing that, since that's one of the hardest things to do on the fly when they're busy and at the start of their senior year. So we really start to prepare them for those things and just like a what is to come.
Yeah, I really like how you talk about sort of guardrails. Like, if you guys haven't done this stuff yet, here's where you should be. And here's what you should have selected in terms of reach schools and guaranteed sort of schools, right? I like that that sets some parameters, because you're right. A lot of times kids are supposed to do something and they don't, or they don't know how to get started. So I think those guardrails are really helpful. So they just have some benchmarks, right? So the next question really ties into what we've already been talking about, which is, what are the main Xello tools you use with juniors? So Teal, we'll actually start with you on this one. And if you can just dive deeper into any of the things that you just touched on, the resume builder, but if you're using two-way messaging or any assignments or anything else to engage with them, talk to us about that.
Okay, so there's 4 things that we really use the most. And so the first one would be their searches. So going in and the explore options and just really teaching them how to go in and find what they want. Use the little heart to save it, to go back and follow up. And so that's something that we start teaching them like super early. When they come to us, a lot of our 8th graders already have a lot of those like Matchmaker, and all of those inventories are done. So, or they'll work on them as a freshman with us. And so a lot of those things are already done in there. So we're really just looking at those things. So I have shown parents this and they have been amazed. And so really getting the parents to understand the use of Xello as well has been huge. It is super hard to go out there and Google all of the things that this just does. And so we really hone in on like, use this. So at this school, we're at a pretty high performing school. And so a lot of kids will come in and only have like the top 3 options. Like, I want to go to UT, I want to go to Texas A&M, I want to go to Baylor, or wherever it is. And they haven't looked at a bigger picture. And so we really want that as a big piece. The second thing we do is we teach them how to use it for their community service tracking. And I don't know how that is. I know different states vary. There's not a requirement here. We just ask that they do it. So all of their tracking of that is done through Xello. So we show them how to enter all of the information that they need and track that themselves for the 100 hours. We will start resume builder. So we have not been great at this, but I think that is one of the easiest tools in there. They just have to, if you've been in there, and I know Julia will show this, but you just have to build as you go, and they can download it at the end. And so everybody, no matter what they're doing next, needs to have some sort of resume, 2, 4 trait, whatever it is, need to have a resume. And then we also house our scholarships in there. And so we really show the kids how to get in there and search and look for what they need. and to kind of go back and check that constantly. So the district luckily will house those for us. Since we're so large, they put them in there for us. And so we ask them to use that. I have not particularly used the two-way messaging or anything like that. I just show them the tools and we follow up with them as we go.
It sounds like there's a lot going on. I love that you have clearly identified this sort of four-prong approach of this is what we need them to do, and really empowering them to take charge. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Katie, the same question is going to be for you. What are the main Xello tools that you're using with your juniors?
We're going to definitely agree that we love the searching tool. So before, I already talked about the lessons that we use in Xello. So part of those lessons, before you get started on the lesson, you have to have 3 schools saved or 3 careers saved. So it's important that students are able to use that searching parameters to find out what is the salary that you're hoping to earn? What type of a post-secondary career are you, or plan are you looking for, a 2-year or 4-year? And then they can narrow it down to identify the careers of interest. And for schools, they can look at, are you looking at a really large school or a small school? Or, they can use all of those features to find the right schools that fit their desires. And so those searching features definitely, I would agree, are critical for our juniors. The other thing is we use the course planner. So as students are looking in Xello and they're looking at majors, you can look at the types of courses that would be prepare you for that major, and then students can help utilize that as a guidance in their course plan. They can add the courses that they're available at their high school that are connected to their future major and career plans. And we also use the opportunities, the work-based learning module. So last year we piloted that, and then this year we've fully launched the work-based learning module, where we host, it's a one place where we can post business partnerships and opportunities for students like volunteering and job shadows. So we have utilized that similar to Teal at the district level. We post all of the scholarships and opportunities that are available district-wide. So it's really efficient. It's done one time, and then all of our students can search for those opportunities. They can search for scholarships and start thinking about that as a junior, even as they're planning for next year. And we definitely use the messaging. We can search for students. If we have an opportunity in an architectural firm, we can search for students who have selected that as a career of interest, and we can message them. We have an opportunity available. So that is a feature that we have used to increase the awareness that that is the place where they can find opportunities. And the other thing that we really like about the work-based learning module is that we can enter in all of our industry partners and our local businesses. So when a student is searching through Xello and they're looking at a career field of interest, they can see different businesses in our local area that are tied to that career field. Whether or not they have an active opportunity, it shows that there's a local business that they could connect to do some future career exploration. So
Katie, I love the word connect. I picked up on a couple of things that you said, and it sounds like you're not only really trying to connect students with opportunities in the community, you're also helping them connect the dots between the courses that they take in high school and how that can really funnel into what they might major in or which school they might go to. And I think that that's really what a program like ours is meant to help do, is like connect the dots. It's not enough on its own, but with guidance counselors and CTE and teachers and the work-based learning and all of these together, that's how we give students the best chance, right? So really great tips and advice, Katie. Thank you so much. We're actually going to go into a special presentation by Julia. She's going to basically talk to us about how students can use the resume builder, how educators can use it with juniors to really help them take charge of their future planning. So with that, I will turn it over to Julia.
Thank you so much, Sharon, and thank you, and Katie and Teal. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about how the fact that writing a resume for the first time as a student can be extremely overwhelming. And I know we've heard that time and time again. So our resume builder within Xello makes it incredibly easy to take the information that the students have learned about themselves through our assessments and self-reflection and early experiences and turn it into a really professional resume. Students are going to access the resume builder from their About Me page. And as they fill out each section of their resume using content entered in the About Me, they can also have the option to add new skills, interests, and further experiences. At any point, students can readjust the order that you see on my screen here of the selection of the sections so they can put their strongest skills and experiences first. Down at the bottom, you'll see a download button. So once the students are ready, they can download their completed resume as either a fully formatted professional PDF or as a rich text file if they want to style their resume in their own way. So along the way, throughout our resume builder, students are going to have access to tips and samples on every single section of our resume. So this guidance is going to help them with the do's and don'ts of writing this standout resume. And we provide them with guidance in app on everything from what is a resume to the do's and don'ts of objective writing and even examples of what a work experience is. So what's great from an educator perspective is that you don't have to create or even provide your own resume resources. All of this support is right in app. And in addition, we do have resources on our help site. We'll be sharing these resources with you after, but these are resources that you can use offline with your students. So as we've heard, I believe Teal mentioned this, sometimes it's hard to get students to complete the resume. So one of our best practices in order to help encourage students to complete the resume builder is to actually create a resume assignment. So why? Because assignments appear front and center on the student dashboard when they log into Xello. Assignments, new assignments are easily identified with the red new icon. And by clicking on the assignment itself, students will be able to see not only the name of the assignment, the educator who assigned it, the instructions, but also the due date. So they'll have an idea of when this has to be turned in. So this is also where they're going to submit the assignment and see any educator feedback. So all educators have the ability to create a custom assignment for students at their school. This is going to be on the educator side of things under the educator dashboard under our assignments tab. You'll be prompted with a create new assignment button, which is going to open up a template like what you see on your screen now. You'll simply just follow the prompts, select a grade level, create a title. You've got the ability to add prerequisites. So for example, if you're asking the students to create a resume assignment, maybe you want them to save 3 schools. What we've done is we've actually taken the liberty of putting together a sample resume assignment for you, which you'll see on your screen here. You can simply cut and paste the following details and put this into your own assignment if you'd like.
Julia, can I jump in?
Absolutely.
Does this mean that you have actually created a resume assignment that everyone on this call is going to get access to?
We have.
Oh my God. Guys, this is a surprise. This is amazing. Julia, thank you so much for doing this. So this is a great opportunity for you guys. You can literally cut and paste Julia's assignment, or you can use it as a starting point and sort of modify it according to your school or district. I'm very sure Dion is going to share this out tomorrow with the recording of this webinar. So you guys will all get access to this. Julia, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So once you've created that assignment on the educator side of the program, you can run reports. So now this is where you can see who was assigned the lesson, like their name and grade level, when the student completed their assignment. You can see status of completion, so if it's complete or incomplete. And by simply clicking the student name, all of the names are hyperlinks. This is going to direct you to this student assignment answer page for you to review. This is also where you can provide some individualized feedback that will be sent to the student dashboard. And the last little tidbit of advice we're going to share with you today was touched upon, I believe, by Katie, the two-way messaging. So a great way to encourage resume completion, or actually any activity within Xello, is our two-way messaging functionality. So in this particular example, from the assignments report, you can simply filter by students that have not completed the activity. You'll see a send message button, which is going to open up this in-app window that you see on my screen. And this is where you can simply write a message kind of encouraging your students to get going and complete that assignment. They're going to receive this email in their in their school email account, but also on their Xello dashboard under the messages section. So I really hope these tips will help you getting your students to take full advantage of the resume builder. So thank you so much. Back to you, Sharon.
Thank you so much, Julia. Okay, we are going to keep going with a couple more questions for our panelists before we dive into audience questions. So I'm going to start with you, Teal, on this next question. This one's a tough one, but I am confident you have some good tips for us. How do you balance the needs of juniors and seniors?
So I think one of the biggest things we do is just make sure we have timelined ourselves on what has to happen. So we always try to meet with our juniors before it starts to get crazy the second, like, let me back up. At the beginning of the year, they both have a lesson. So the juniors and the seniors will both meet with both of them. So seniors first, juniors second, and then we do the other grade levels. And so from there, we kind of pace them. So we tell them, like, this is what you need to do by these times. This is what you could expect by November, December. So they're well versed in like their order of things. And then in the second semester, because it does get crazy right now with trying to get your seniors wrapped up, committed somewhere across the stage, all of those things, we meet with the juniors right before it starts to get crazy with that. So our juniors get their timeline, they get all the information they need, we meet with their parents, and then we're kind of good with them until we hit the beginning of the year. And then we pace that too to where we're meeting with them first thing as a senior. So a lot of our needs are just met by how we balance our time here and what things we have assigned them to do, either in Xello or just our application process, our counseling process.
I love that there are timelines. You've made it really clear what the expectations are for both groups of students. And I think sometimes it's the simple thing of just setting expectations. So I'm sure that that is really effective. And Katie, I'd love to hear from you as well. How do you balance the needs of juniors and seniors?
Exactly what Teal said. We have the exact same format where our career specialists, the very first of the year, they hit their seniors. So they go in and they talk to every senior. We have a push-in model. I saw a couple of the questions about, our ratio of counselors to students and kind of how we support the work. And so I will share that in Vancouver, we have a career specialist at every high school. And that's a full-time person that really is lead on the high school and beyond plan and college and career readiness, all the pathway preparation and post-secondary planning. And then there's also guidance counselors, grade level counselors. So, and usually that's a team of 4 plus the career specialist. So it is a real challenge to have one person supporting 1,500 kids in a high school. And so they have structured their time where the first of the year, they talk to all seniors and make sure that they know the Xello lessons that are required, the important things that they need to be doing as seniors, and then they let students go. And kind of the beauty of the Xello program is that those lessons can be done independently. So they're not sitting there doing the lessons with the kids in class, but they're talking about them and the concepts of the lessons. And then the students know that they'll be doing those independently on their own. And then they work with the group of juniors. So they go into all the junior classrooms and they start talking to juniors about what do you need to do as a junior. And so there's that dedicated time and the focus to address the needs of a junior. And then they go and meet with all the sophomores and then all the freshmen. And they try to get all of that done before the end of first semester. And then second semester is focused on kind of independent one-on-one small group, supporting students, bringing in college representatives and the college and career fairs and the awareness about different, field trips and opportunities. And we have a magnet program structure where students can apply to go to a different high school depending on their interests. And so there's a big focus in the month of January, February, where students are exploring different options and programs. So there's a lot of presentations and open houses and things like that, preparing students for what they want to do next year as a high school. So it's, I think, all about the structure and the timeline of when we're going to touch each group of student in each grade level.
1,500 students, you said, Katie? Wow, that is impressive. I also think your plan is very impressive. I think the key here is that there's a plan, right? We're going to talk to this group at this time and this group at this time, and there are timelines, as Teal said, there are expectations. So it sounds like both of you have really developed plans, and that's what is really keeping everyone on track. Thank you for sharing all of those tips. We're going to go to the next question, and Katie, I'll start with you this time. It's a simple question, but I think you could probably take it in a lot of different directions. How do you collaborate with other educators?
We have, like I said, we have one career specialist and then a team of grade level counselors. So they meet as a functioning collaborative team regularly to support all students in the building. So that's first and foremost. I think that they're all working together, where one person might have more of a focus on the high school and beyond plan. The others, are maybe more focused on the academic planning and other social emotional needs, which are really high right now. So as a team, they're working to support students in collaboration. And we also have on our checklist, I'm not sure if that got shared or will get shared later, with all of our components of the high school and beyond plan. I mentioned the junior English teachers. So we collaborate with our junior English teachers to support the resume within that classroom. And we also collaborate with our senior social studies teachers. And that's where we really support a lot of our budgeting and financial aid, FAFSA. We have a Washington State financial program called the WASFA. So all of that is done in support and collaboration with our social studies teachers. And we need to have that because we don't have a structure where all of this happens in one class, like an advisory program or somewhere where we see our kids, regularly, weekly, daily. So we do have to collaborate, and we have to have different teachers help support the plan. It's not perfect. I think it would be great if we had a period of time every single day where we could support our students. I think we could do a lot better job with our college and career readiness, but that's not the structure that we have in our district. So collaboration is definitely important.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing a pretty good job to me. I love that you're incorporating English and social studies and some of those core classes and really making it a holistic approach. So Teal, same question. How do you collaborate with other educators in your district?
So it is nice when you have 12 high schools. So you have 12 lead counselors and everybody that goes with that. I even think some of them are on here today. And so we really work together to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Like Jumpstart Juniors is something that most of us do. And so we'll say, we just talk and meet monthly about what is happening on each campus. And so we share ideas that way. We also meet with our feeder patterns. And so I have 2 middle schools that feed into this high school. Others have more. And so we'll meet with feeder patterns, especially with the 4-year planning. And then what things, our middle school feeder patterns work in Xello for us and do Matchmaker. And so kind of getting some of that stuff done that we know we won't have time to do up here is super helpful. So just meeting, we usually do an end of the year kind of transition meeting with our feeders. And then we see them when we do our counseling meetings, like they'll pair our feeder patterns together. I love what Katie said about using the English and social studies teachers. That is something I am really pushing for here because I feel like that's one of the best ways to get this done is integrated, especially where curriculum might overlap. And so I don't know if it's like this elsewhere, but Texas has a FAFSA completion requirement. And so all kids have to fill that out. And so using our economics class or using the government class, like a subject that they all have to take to kind of work on one thing. The same thing with using English, like that to me is one of the smoothest ways, especially when you don't have that built-in advisory time. We have it here, but we cannot use it for those things. There's other state mandated things that go through that. Our SEL lessons go through advisory. And so there's little time for this. So if anybody figures out a way to get that all implemented with the curriculum, I think is one of the best ways to get that done.
Teal, thank you so much. Okay, so Katie and Teal have both provided us with a lot of tips and strategies, and I'm just going to run through a couple of slides with everyone. Here are a few things that you as educators can do to save yourself time and really widen the scope of your program. So number one, add scholarships to the local scholarships tool. Now, I know that this is an admin task that may take a bit of time up front where you have to input entries, but it can really be so helpful for juniors looking at options to pay for college and really beginning to budget and think about their life after high school plan. Number two, build better transitions into your high school program. Now, Katie and Teal have both talked to us about how they start early from grade 8. So for example, middle schoolers can complete a few quizzes to become more familiar with Xello before they enter as freshmen. And number three, find ways to incorporate career exploration into class time. Now, Katie, they're already doing this in Vancouver. Teal is trying to get this off the ground. So, as we talked about, using English classes is really a perfect setting, or social studies to work on essays or financial documents. Okay. We're going to share one more slide, which is the checklist that our panelists referenced. So these are a few things that students can really do now and over the summer to really prepare them and get them set up for success next year. So number one is search colleges and scholarships. We were talking earlier about the heart icon and how students can go in and search and like careers or like colleges. So using the college planning tools and search colleges of interest and scholarships is a great way to do that. If you're unsure of how to turn a spreadsheet you have into a digital database by adding them, you can visit our Xello support site to get tips on that. As Teal mentioned earlier, I think her school has a goal of students having 5 to 7 schools saved. And Katie also mentioned that those are some of the prerequisites where they have to have schools saved early. Number two, we've been talking about resumes today. So it's true that not everyone is college bound. We all know that, and that's fine. But all students will need a professional resume once they enter the world of work. And that's typically where most of us are headed. So resumes can and should be started for juniors by now, but this is a great time to hone in and clean it up. I like how Teal's program, what is it called? Jumpstart Juniors, Teal.
Yeah.
So they're focusing, on cleaning it up. So again, with the resume, if they've got one started, focus in on it, clean it up so it can be a really useful document, that it's really true to their lives where they are. And they can add things like community service and volunteer hours, which our panelists have spoken about, to really help them stand out on those college applications. Another thing that can really help students stand out is essays. So college application essays are a great way to stand out from the competition, and they can get ahead of that and start really flexing their writing skills with a lot of the preparation tips that can be found right in the college planning section of Xello. Number 4 is really to include parents. I think one of our panelists mentioned this, and it's really not just parents, but it's any kind of adult or support system that the students have, because getting those parents and family members on board is something we've really been talking about all year here at Xello. It's not just a program, it's not just a school, it's really the whole village working together. And it really helps lighten your load as an educator to have those parents and family members on board to address future readiness goals so that they can really support everything that you see on this checklist, right? And really help their students to work through it over the summer. And the last thing is really to begin budgeting for life after high school. So, once juniors have a more solid idea of where they want to be after they graduate, it really means putting some realistic plans in place, including budgeting. I know no one likes to do it, myself included, but it is so important. And I am going to do a shameless Xello plug right now because we actually just launched a financial literacy course. It's just in time for Financial Literacy Month in April with our partners at Method Learning. And this program is really designed to help students build their knowledge and financial planning skills so they understand terminology and sort of how the world of finance works. You can speak to your success manager if you're looking to upgrade and get your students access. Okay, I have one more question for our panelists before we jump into audience questions. So I'm going to start with you, Teal, on this one. Any final advice or key learnings that you'd like to share with the group?
I just think one of the big things is to timeline out what you want your kids to do. So what is the most important thing on your campus? Because they are all different. And really kind of take the time to lay out what you want to happen each year. And then I would say to use these things consistently. So when we just kind of are a broken record here, like your scholarships are in Xello, your community services in Xello, like this is there. And so figuring out exactly what tools you want them to do, starting small, and then just being super consistent about what you have said is what your campus needs.
Okay, and Katie, any final advice or key learnings that you want to share?
I got really excited about the financial literacy, so I'm a little distracted.
Fair enough.
Yes, I would say that one of the things is to just keep at it, because our career specialists have found that it has been so challenging, I think, especially this year with the impacts of COVID, and our engagement has been really low. Students have not seemed to be connected or engaged and ready for their post-secondary plans. And so we just keep on, we keep offering opportunities, we keep getting them to do their FAFSA, come to the career and college fair. And I'm hopeful that eventually we'll start to see that engagement return. So I'm telling my people to keep optimistic and continue to do what we're doing. We're running reports too. I think that's the other thing, is if you're looking at the data, it helps you to stay on track. And so we run reports of our completion and we send it out to the principals and the counselors, and it becomes a little bit of a friendly competition, like which school has the most completion on their high school and beyond plan. So that's always, I think, a good piece of advice, to keep it in front of us, what we're aiming for, so that we can see how we're getting closer and closer to that goal. And I think the parents, this was the first year that Xello launched the families component. And so I think we have a lot of growth to do with getting our parents into the Xello program and knowing that they now have access and that they can get connected to their student's account. They can play around and do their own searching and utilize the tool. So that's something that we're going to look at an increase in. I just ran a report to see where we were, and we only have 2,745 of our parents connected and linked to their child. So we plan to push out another message right before our spring conferencing that says, a re-invitation to link up into the tool. And so I think that's a piece of advice that is critical, is getting the parents involved. And I'm excited to see how we can continue to do that through Xello.
Thank you so much, Katie, really keeping your eye on the target and, again, involving everyone. Okay, so right now we're going to move on to questions from the audience. Again, our Xello team has been monitoring the Q&A. It's not too late. Slide your question in. We might have time for it. But if we don't have time to get to all of your questions, we apologize. We're going to do our best. So let me just see what we've got here. So Katie, this question is for you. David asks, can you tell us more about your dashboard for career and college readiness? What data source, which tools for sharing the data, and who uses the dashboard?
This is something we're building right now. We don't have a currently functioning dashboard, but we're working with our internal data and assessment performance management. I mean, we're a fairly large district, so we have that department here, and they are working with a couple different tools. One is Tableau and one is Vidiri. So we are looking at those tools and figuring out with their guidance how we can build a dashboard. So we're going to be pulling data from different resources. We have everything out there for our students. We have a Washington Student Achievement Council portal where we are housing information about FAFSA completion. We have our student information system that houses credits that students have earned and industry recognized credentials and work-based learning that students have participated in. That's all within our student information system. And then of course we have a ton of information in Xello. We have their post-secondary plans, we have their careers they're interested in, we have the schools that they're interested in. So our data team is helping us pull from all of those resources into a tableau where we can see all of that information about this student at one time. So I don't have any information. I can't show a sample yet because we're building it right now.
Okay, Katie, good luck with that. And thank you so much for that context that you shared. Now, Teal, David also has a question for you. How and when can students change their endorsements in Texas? How might that affect their course choices for graduation?
Okay, so we ask them in 8th grade when we start their 4-year planning to choose an endorsement. Frisco basically does a default. And so we'll default them all to multidisciplinary to make sure that they all have one. And then we can build from there. And so we know that if there's changes, that they're always going to get something. And so students here can even opt out of their endorsement in their junior year. So this is probably just a really different, like how the districts do it. So because we default them, there's not much changing. We just add. So if you get something else, so if you get arts and humanities, the STEM, business and industry, we just add them to your multidisciplinary. So we just try to get them all that in their 4-year plan. In my last district, they asked them to commit to one. So they had to choose one of the 5. And then they had to change that before going into their junior year because you just run out of the ability to make sure that you have the classes to graduate. So that will vary by district for sure.
Thank you, Teal. Okay, I think we have time for a couple more questions. Katie, this question is for you. Sonora asks, when you complete the lessons, do you do them all together or assign them to students to complete? Also, do you discuss the lessons at some point?
That is a great question. I think I touched on that a little bit in that we will get students aware of the lessons that are required for that grade level. We don't do it all together with the students because they can do them independently. And but we can just talk about these are the outcomes that we're hoping for, for juniors and seniors, etc.
Okay, another question for you, Teal. Heather asks, how do you incorporate Xello work into the student's day? Does a teacher, class, or counselor do it?
So we do it, the counseling office does it right now. And so we do this a couple of different ways. So everything is given to them in their initial guidance lessons. And then we run a Canvas account for each student. So each grade has a Canvas classroom. So like I have class of 2022, class of 2023, 24, and so on. And so we post reminders and where things are. So for example, because we use the community service and the scholarships so much, those directions really live in their Canvas account. And so that gets updated and we'll send announcements through theirs. We'll also email it out. Links to some of those things always stay in my newsletter. So because we're not in classrooms and we don't have an advisory, we use literally everything else we have at our disposal to get to them. So email, Canvas, and then we run a counseling newsletter where literally the directions to community service are there, the directions to scholarships are there. And then I give everything to parents. So if I gave it to the kid, it goes to parents too. And so they are able to follow up as well.
Okay, I think we have time for one last question. Katie, this one's for you. Michelle asks, Katie, can you share more on the logistics of the post-secondary and career fair? What grade levels attend, access location, are students transported to this location, etc.?
Sure. We offer it on site in the building, so there's no transportation that's required. We utilize a very large space, whether that's the lower gym or upper gym or the commons area in the high schools. And we bring in tables and chairs and set it up in a format where, like a fair. And then we adjust the schedule for that day where students have time released from their classes to go in and explore the fair. And sometimes it's like all seniors are coming during a certain time, and then all the juniors are coming during a certain time, because obviously if you have 1,500 kids, there's no way to get them all in there at once. So it goes throughout the whole day, or at least several hours of the day. And one of the things that we did that I think is a promising practice in our region here in Southwest Washington, we picked 1 week. So it was actually March 7th through the 11th, just a couple weeks ago. We identified that week, and then we collaborated with our neighboring really large district as well. And so we did one big outreach to all the post-secondary representatives, and they on a Google sheet would identify which high schools they could attend. And so during that whole week, it was really focused on Southwest Washington. So our college reps could come and really efficiently target a bunch of kids and a bunch of high schools all at once. So in that condensed week of time, I think our college reps really appreciate that, because they're not traveling all the time, and we have had really great representation from our colleges. And so together as a region, I think that's a really good practice to coordinate the logistics of that event.
Thank you so much, Katie and Teal and Joya. So I want to remind everyone, just as we close up here, that we are truly here to help. You can visit the Xello Support Center 24/7 at help.xello.world, or you can get in touch with our client solutions team and they'll get you sorted out right away. You can email them at help@xello.world. And finally, I want to invite everyone to join our community. Of course, you can always follow us on social. And next month, of course, we're hosting another roundtable in April. We're focusing on how to discover your wins and evaluate any misses. And we're also going to be talking about recent Xello releases. And with all of this in mind, our goal is really to help you devise a plan to optimize the 2022-23 College and Career Readiness Program at your school or district. So we'll send an invite closer to the date. That's going to be on April 21st. You can also pre-register. And again, we're just going to be focusing on ideas to level up next year's program for you. In the meantime, I encourage you to check out the Xello support site. There are other trainings happening in the next month. You can check it out there and see what we have going on live. And thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us for another great remote roundtable. It was a pleasure having you all participate. Katie, thank you. Teal, Julia, thank you everyone so much. You are all fantastic. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.